With Duolingo's stock price down almost 40% from their recent highs, there's certainly an argument to be made that this company is undervalued. So today we are going to be looking at exactly what this company does, the fundamentals behind this business, as well as some blow up risks that could be associated with this company. And also at the end of this video, I do want to touch on the AMD OpenAI deal and give my opinion around what this actually means for the company. And then we'll also take a look at my stock portfolio. I made another big move in the portfolio, so stay tuned for that at the very end of this video. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Duolingo started the year trading around $325 per share, and that is exactly where it is trading here today. The stock, however, at the start of the year made a massive move up to around $540 per share. But from that point in May till now, it has fallen significantly and is back trading again at around $325 per share. This is a company that IPO'd back in 2021 for around $140 per share, and they fell down to around $70 per share in 2022. But from that point till now, we have seen the stock trend in the positive direction, moving up almost 400%. And right now, Duolingo has a market cap of just under $15 billion. So they're kind of in that small to mid cap range. In terms of Duolingo's business model, they are primarily focused on helping their users learn a new language. They cover a lot of the main, most popular languages throughout the world, and they have a number of different games that help users learn the language on a verbal basis as well as on a written basis. But that's really just the start for Duolingo. Where they look to scale their business into the future is by focusing on how they can help their users learn different skills. This could be anything from math, as well as they are even developing a chess program on their app. But what really sets Duolingo apart from a lot of their competitors is their focus on the user experience. They are focused on providing the best user experience in terms of keeping their users engaged in what they're actually learning. And this helps them retain these users to develop new skills that they roll out on the platform. A lot of people will go into learning a language and it can be very difficult. However, Duolingo tries to make the experience fun, and that keeps these users engaged and learning over a long period of time. And this is a market that continues to grow each and every year. Right now, the language learning market is expected to grow by around 18.5% year over year through 2030. That would take the market from about $28 billion in 2023 to around $91.6 billion in 2030. But obviously, that is just the language learning market. As they bring in these other skills to help people learn math, science, chess, whatever it may be, the thing that Duolingo will be able to capitalize on is their overall ecosystem and how many users they actually have on the platform. Their daily active users as of their most recent quarter was 47.7 million. That is up 40% year over year. And their monthly active users is sitting at 128.3 million, which is up 24% year over year. And this wasn't a one-off quarter. During Q1, they announced that their daily active users was sitting at 46.6 million, and that was up 49% year over year. Their monthly active users was sitting at 130.2 million, which was up 33% year over year. So this number did fall quarter over quarter. That is important to keep in mind because that does create a little bit of concern. Their daily active users did increase quarter over quarter, so more people who are using the app on a daily basis are using it consistently, and they're seeing growth there. However, the monthly active users did fall slightly. But this is a business model that Duolingo has set up to be subscriber based. Their paid subscribers grew to 10.9 million in their most recent quarter, which was up 37% year over year. This is very good because some of the strongest businesses in the world are subscriber based businesses. Think like Netflix. Netflix has done a great job of growing their platform over time, and a lot of that has to do with their consistent revenue that they're bringing in from subscribers. Duolingo is trying to copy that, but in the learning space. And when you're able to do that successfully, this is what your revenue looks like. It's a very strong up and to the right trend. Right now, their trailing 12-month revenue is sitting at $0.886 billion, dollars, and that is up about 41.5% year over year. And we can see that over the last few years, they've really consistently grown their top line by around 40 to 50%. I do think it's very likely for Duolingo to see their revenue growth fall to maybe 30 to 35% over the next 2 to 3 years, and then fall down to 25 to 30%. A lot of that has to do with them focusing on their bottom line as well, which I like a lot from this company. We have seen that flip occur back in 2023 when they really started putting up positive quarters of EPS, and they have been able to grow their earnings per share, especially on a yearly basis, significantly over the last year, year and a half time period. They're now bringing in a trailing 12-month EPS of $2.43. But there are short-term and long-term risks to this business. The short-term risk is some of these competitors coming in, especially Apple. Apple loves copying businesses and seeing where there's a lot of growth and how they can integrate those types of technologies into their current platform and really into their ecosystem in general. Apple has recently rolled out live translations on their AirPods. Basically, you can translate languages now just by using your AirPods, and this could be a big thing for Duolingo because ultimately, if you're able to translate languages with the AirPods that you have in your ears, what is the point in learning a new language? People talk about it and they say it is really to develop a deeper understanding of a culture, and I totally understand that. But I think a lot of the people who are tuning into Duolingo and getting on the platform to learn a new language is because they want to be able to communicate with either people in their lives or travel abroad. And if they can do that with AirPods, I think that kind of pulls some of those users out of Duolingo's ecosystem. This might be a little bit more of a stretch, but what I think is a long-term threat to Duolingo, as well as learning businesses in general, is what Elon Musk is doing with Neuralink. Right now, it's being used to help patients regain access to a certain level of mobility. However, long term, I think these chips that are being put into people's brains could actually help them learn new skills at a much faster pace than current learning abilities for the average human. If you think about it, what if you could just put a chip into your brain that already has all of these languages downloaded on it, so you could flip between whatever language? If you want to speak English and then jump over and speak German, you could automatically do that, as well as understand any other language. Again, I think this is very, very long term. It's not even close to being achieved right now, but it is something to keep in mind for what could be achieved to actually disrupt Duolingo's current business. But putting science fiction aside, right now with this dip we have seen in Duolingo, they are trading at much healthier of a valuation. Their forward PE ratio is now sitting at a 69.44. Back in June of this year, it was sitting around 145. So that is a lot better time to get invested into the company when it's trading close to that 60 PE. And if we look at the growth that this company has as of their most recent quarter, their PEG ratio is around a 0.885. So that is very strong for a company like Duolingo that still has plenty of growth in front of it. But here's the thing, you should always run your own numbers, even when it comes to PE ratios, because if you look at Yahoo Finance, again, for Duolingo, they have a 69 forward P ratio. However, if you look at 2026 EPS estimates from analysts, they're projecting $8.34. That actually puts Duolingo closer to around a 40 forward PE ratio, actually even less than a 40 forward PE ratio. And what we see over the next couple of years is 59% growth in EPS in 2025, at least that's what is expected from analysts, and then 27.5% growth in 2026. This number could be very low. Duolingo could see their bottom line grow by 40–45%, and that could be a huge boost for the stock in the future, especially if the company continues to grow their top line numbers at a fast rate. For 2025, they're expected to grow revenue by 36.12%. And then in 2026, growth is expected to hit almost 26%. And this number could be low. What we've seen over the last 5 years for Duolingo is growth in the 40+% range. So for them to drop all the way down to 26% would be a little bit of a large move down for their top line numbers. I honestly think in 2026, as long as there isn't some sort of major recession, we should see them grow by 30%. But for me to get into Duolingo stock, I really want to see them drop below a 35 forward P ratio. That would be a stock price of about $290 per share. Are they going to get there? I'm not sure. We could see a continuation of this move down. That's where the stock was trading just a couple of weeks ago, back in September. So it definitely could happen. But right now, it's looking like the stock is in an uptrend. And if this continues, we likely won't get back to those levels. Maybe we will actually see the stock continue this move up back to where it was back in May of this year of around $540 per share. Before we close out the video, I do want to touch on this AMD and OpenAI video. And let's start with hearing some words from Lisa Su.
Deal is a win for AMD, it's a win for OpenAI, and it's a win for our shareholders. And that's kind of the way we put this together. I have full confidence in OpenAI, Sam, Greg, Sarah. I mean, this is a massive opportunity for us. Right now, right here, it's about who has the most compute and how fast can we get it online. And we're committing to doing this together. And the fact is, as OpenAI buys chips, that's great for AMD. Our revenue goes up, our earnings go up. We expect that it will also be very, very accretive to our shareholders from day one. And as we do that, we're very happy to have OpenAI as a deep partner, and we win together. So it's like a virtuous positive cycle in how we build out this big vision for having all this compute out there.
The problem that I see with all of these deals in the AI space is they basically create a giant circle. And I've seen this across a number of other YouTube videos and Twitter and whatnot. A lot of people are talking about how this kind of circle is coming about, where all these companies are just investing into one another. What I think ultimately is going to happen, and this might be 5 years down the line, this might be 10 years down the line, but a lot of these companies are going to have to merge, especially like an OpenAI. It would be great for that company to integrate with some other company, whether that's an AMD, that could be one way of going about it, or maybe they look to integrate with Microsoft. However, all of them on their own, trying to stand alone, I just don't think is going to work out for their best interest into the future. If we see someone like OpenAI and AMD become a singular company, then a lot of their kind of successes start to align, and that could create a lot more vertical integration for these companies. I honestly thought it was going to end up being Microsoft and OpenAI merging together, but now I think that it's a lot more likely that OpenAI looks for a company like AMD or Nvidia to merge with, and those two companies can kind of own the market as a whole for AI, because they can own the creation of chips as well as the actual application of AI technology. But of course, any sort of deal like that would have to make it through the FTC, and I honestly think that none of those could, especially right now. I think if one of the businesses started looking kind of weak, then maybe a deal like that could go through. But right now, AI in general is looking very strong, and I think a lot of those different deals could get blocked if they were to be attempted. But let's go ahead and jump into the YouTube portfolio. Right now, it's sitting at a value just under $83,000. However, before Friday, it was sitting at $87,000. So the big move that I made in the portfolio is I sold completely out of super microcomputer. I sold half of my position earlier in the week, and then I sold the rest of it later in the week. And overall, I just am happy with the gains that I got in that position, and I haven't seen a lot of positive movement in terms of their earnings the last couple of quarters. Actually, they have fallen after earnings over the last couple of quarters, and to me, that is a bad sign. I want to see the stock actually going up after earnings because there's a lot of positivity around their numbers, and we just hadn't seen that. So right now, I've actually built out a very solid cash position that I'm looking to deploy into a number of different companies. Right now, I just need to do some more research, and overall, Duolingo could be one of those. Again, if it continues to dip back down, maybe go to that 290 level, I could see myself adding a position. But of course, let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear your opinion on this AMD OpenAI deal, as well as Duolingo. What's your price target? Do you own a position in it? Do you think some of these short-term and long-term concerns around the company are overblown, or do you think they're justified? Let me know down below. And while you're down there, drop a like on the video and subscribe for more videos like this one. And as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.